Hey everybody, let's get started. Welcome to tonight's webinar. I'm so glad you guys have all made it to this Kick the Sugar Habit workshop, where we're going to talk all about what sugar does in your body, why we start and can't stop, and how to transform sugar cravings so you can kick the habit for good. But first, does anybody know what this is? You can drop it in the comments box there. I see some radishes. I see a white carrot. So this is it's called a watermelon daikon. Healthy eating is full of surprises. We've been conditioned to think of health food as, bland, boring, no fun, tree bark. I've heard it called pond scum. And somewhere we've developed this notion that you've got to suffer to get what you want. And this is a really limiting concept of what healthy eating can be. So we're not talking about bland and boring foods here today. My goal is to introduce you to a whole new gastronomic experience. Tickle your taste buds with exciting new foods that are easy to prepare and outrageously good for you. Now, how did I end up here talking to you about sugar? I'm not controlled by sugar cravings or have a weakness for it, but it wasn't always this way. I spent most of my childhood and early adulthood overweight and high on sugar. I reached a point where I was so overweight that I stopped going out with friends and instead I would sulk at home in baggy sweatpants, watching sad movies about impossible love. And then I'd pull up a chair to the refrigerator and just pig out until my stomach hurt. Then I look down at the rolls on my stomach and wonder, who could possibly love me like that? Instead of that beaming smile, that radiant complexion and creative spark I used to feel, I just looked dull and lackluster, tired, moody, and I felt like crap most of the time, honestly. And I'm like, how did this happen? This was definitely not the best life ever. So I knew something had to change. And that's when I discovered this thing. It changed everything. At first, I was skeptical, okay, that approach will never work for me. But then I followed through in a way I never had before. And within 2 weeks, 10 pounds melted off my body. I had dropped 2 dress sizes. I was bouncing energetically out of bed every morning and I had more clarity than I had in years. And I got my groove back. And most important, I began to love my body. No more negative self-talk. No more missing out on fun times with friends or family because I just felt, fat and ugly and I didn't want to socialize with anybody. And I started getting a lot of compliments. They were saying you look amazing, it's like I had completely transformed. And they're like, what are you doing? They all wanted to know. And one woman had said, I start eating and I can't stop. And another girlfriend of mine had said, I have to have something sweet after a meal or it just doesn't feel complete. And that's when I developed a system called the Total Transformation to teach people how to kick the sugar habit without giving up sweetness. And at first it was for a group of just 4 friends, and then it expanded to 12. And in the past 6 months, 36 people have successfully kicked sugar and experienced a total transformation. Using these exact steps that I'm going to be showing you and teaching you here today. Now, it's my goal to help you connect the dots and show you exactly how you can do this too, no matter how far off track that you've fallen. So you're in the right place if you're wondering why you crave sugar at certain times, you're done reinventing the wheel and you want someone to tell you what works and what doesn't for real, and you want to discover what's keeping you stuck so you can get unstuck. So, and then you're also ready to, finally get the sugar and food thing handled so you can allow yourself, your best self to shine. So if these describe you, then you are in exactly the right place. In fact, if this is you, it's no accident that we're here together. Because today I'm going to show you how to kick the sugar habit without giving up sweetness so you can experience a total transformation that gives you your best body ever, your best moods, and your best life ever. And we have a limited amount of time together, and I'm going to teach you as much as I can about our topic today. And then I promise before we finish, I'll show you how you could take it further if you want to. So there are 3 main challenges that all my clients and most people have when they go to sugar, when they go to kick the sugar habit. So challenge number 1. The first challenge is wondering why the heck they have the sugar cravings in the first place, why those cravings feel out of control, and what to do about it. So let's solve that mystery now, shall we? So let's talk about why sugar becomes a craving for us in the first place. Traditional nutritionists think of food in calories and grams of fat. And as a health coach, that's only one way I look at food. The other way is something really cool, and the concept is called the polarity of food. Now, you're probably asking, what the heck does that mean? So the concept of polarity, it's pretty simple. So it's based on the principle that everything has two polarities or extremes. For example, hot and cold are extremes of the pole called temperature. It's the same way with every apparent opposite. So you have hard and soft, noisy and quiet, light and dark, good and bad, love and fear. You kind of get the picture. So when you find one thing, you also find the potential for its opposite. So to look at the world through the lens of polarity is to look at it in pairs. So dark, light, night, day, yin yang, male, female, etc. So now you're asking, okay, I get this, but how does this concept apply to food? So first we want to consider that food is more than simply fuel. It has energetic qualities that are beyond the science and mechanics of calories, fat grams, and nutrient values. For example, leafy greens grow upward, so they have a lifting energy, whereas root vegetables like a potato or squash grow deep in the ground, so they have a grounding energy. So what does the polarity of food look like? Where does the inherent energy quality of different foods, fall on the spectrum? And how might this polarity in your food actually be creating your cravings? So on the right, you see one extreme called expansive bliss. So foods that represent this energy are represented in things like alcohol, caffeine, sugar, dairy, and to some extent fruit. The energy of these foods make you feel light, relaxed, and happy, blissful. And when you eat too many bliss foods, you start to feel spacey, maybe even a little forgetful. Then on the other extreme are the contracted tension foods. And these foods are contracting versus expansive. So examples of these foods are like salt, eggs, and red meat. They're the kind of foods that put like meat on your bones. You heard that saying growing up. They make you feel grounded, focused, aggressive. But when you eat too many, you start to feel tight, agitated, and perhaps even a little angry. So that's all fine and good, but how do the two extremes of polarity of food, the expansive bliss and the contracted tension, relate to sugar cravings? So I'm so glad you asked. If life is a system of opposites and your body is always trying to balance itself out, what do you think happens if you're having too many contracted foods like salt, meat, and eggs? What do you think your body might start craving to balance itself out? It'll crave the opposite of contracted foods. It'll crave the sweet, expansive bliss foods. So do you find that if you have something salty like potato chips, like you crave something sweet afterwards? So that's the challenge. If we have too many contractive foods, we'll crave the expansive. And if we have too many expansive foods, we'll crave the contractive. So what many people don't realize, and I didn't realize this myself either, is that we're oftentimes creating our cravings unknowingly. Pretty cool, right? And you can even look at activities in your life through the lens of the polarity of expansive and contractive. There are things that happen in your life that are a little more contractive. They create more tension. And then there are things that are more expansive. They create more relaxation. So some examples of contractive activities are like running, working too much, partying, staying up late, any stress that you might have, whether that be homework, family, whatever. When you have too many contractive activities, you just crave more expansive foods because you need that relaxation. And if you don't allow yourself to relax, then you'll find yourself binging on wine, chocolate, bread, desserts. So your body is begging for a break, like sleep, reading, meditation, walking, taking a bath. If you've been driving in like awful traffic, or you had a toddler, who was having a nightmare, or you had a really stressful day at work, what are you going to crave? Sweets or a martini, those expansive foods. That craving is your body trying to balance itself out again. So when I'm working with clients to deconstruct their cravings, we look at not just the foods they're eating, but also their lifestyle. And then we come to challenge 2. So the second challenge around kicking the sugar habit is that no one wants to do it because it feels so good, right? It feels good to eat it. So you just kind of ask like, why the heck does it feel so dang good? So let's take a quick look at what's happening in the body when you eat sugar and why we experience that awesome sugar high. So products containing lots of sugar usually don't contain lots of fiber, fat, or protein. And then, the fiber, the fat, the protein, they all slow down sugar absorption. So when those nutrients aren't present, your blood sugar shoots up really fast, like to the top of a roller coaster. Now, at the top of this roller coaster, your brain is alerted. Your brain uses about 50% of your blood sugar at any given time. So any drastic rise or fall in your blood sugar levels cause your brain to flip out. So when your blood sugar spikes up, your brain and your body aren't happy. To you, like to your body, this is an emergency. So what does your body do? Your pancreas secretes the hormone insulin to bring your blood sugar back down. And here's the problem. We've spent a lifetime eating a lot of high sugar, high processed products. Hey, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and that's what was popular then, so insulin has gotten really used to doing its job too well. And so then when the insulin is sent out, it doesn't just bring your blood sugar back down into balance. There's often too much insulin secreted, and our blood sugar just dips way down. And that's the blood sugar crash you feel after the sugar high, that shaky, spaced out, uncomfortable feeling. So you've had your blood sugar crash. Now, what does your body crave when you're down there in the middle of that nasty crash? Yes, more sugar. And what happens to our blood sugar when we eat the sugar again? It goes up and up and up, back to the top of that roller coaster. And so the up and down cycle continues. Has anyone here experienced that before? Yeah, I mean, how does it feel? Awful. This is one of the reasons we start eating sugar, and we quite literally just can't stop, and we crave it constantly. It's because your body is actually trying to find blood sugar balance. So the sugar craving is your body's way of saying it needs something specific to restore this balance. And the easiest and most convenient food to restore blood sugar balance when your blood sugar is in the toilet is sugar. However, if we keep eating the sugar, we'll stay on that crazy craving roller coaster. And that roller coaster affects your mood, it causes weight gain, and it can lead to serious diseases like adult onset diabetes. Now, after the hormone insulin is sent out to take excess sugar out of the bloodstream, it has 3 places that can take that sugar: your brain, your blood cells, or your muscles. Now, if all those receptors are full because you've been eating a lot of sugar already, where does that excess sugar go? Yep, right on the hips. That excess sugar is stored as fat. Now, here's yet another not so thrilling thing. When your body is producing insulin to bring you down from the sugar high, it can't produce what's called glucagon. So glucagon is very important, especially if you're trying to shed excess weight, because it's the hormone that takes fat out of storage to be burned as energy. So if you're eating sugar, not only are you probably storing some of it as fat, but you also then can't release the fat to be burned because the sugar blocks the glucagon production and fat burning, which is a total bummer. And here's something else I want you to consider. These days, many health conscious people know their blood sugar levels go up and down on a sugar induced high, but they often don't realize the emotional roller coaster ride that accompanies this. We feel happy and energetic for a while, and then suddenly, unexplainably, we find ourselves arguing with our friend or lover, or beating ourselves up in our mind. Our moods are all over the place. Has anyone experienced that? Yeah, it's awful. So then challenge number 3. So the third and final challenge with sugar that I experienced myself, and I notice with my clients, is that when you're not happy with an area of your life, like your career, your relationships, your finances, your workouts, your life in the bedroom, your family, where you live, the winter weather, it's just sometimes so much easier to reach for sugar than to deal with what's really going on. And I totally get that. In fact, here's what happened with one of my clients. She came to me about 30 pounds overweight. When we first started to work together, she said her stress levels averaged about an 8 or 9 out of 10, all the time. She was stressed with a demanding job, 3 teenagers and a household to take care of. She struggled trying to balance the workload and responsibilities. She had absolutely no downtime. She was going full force, 100 miles per hour, from the time she woke up until the moment she collapsed into her bed late at night. And after a few weeks of working together and helping her find balance and learn how to delegate and schedule time for herself in her busy day, She told me that she wasn't, grabbing for the sugared latte or the afternoon chocolate bar like she used to. And she had dropped 8 pounds. And her stress levels had gone from like an 8 or 9 to a 4 or 5 out of 10 in just a few weeks. It was truly incredible. Now, a craving may seem like a pain in the rear, but what if cravings are a messenger to help you step into the best version of who you are? That would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it? Now, you didn't just come here for problems, you came here for solutions. So let's look at how to get started on the kicking sugar without starving or giving up sweetness, even if you've never done it before. So you don't have to write these down. I have them all written down for you, and we'll show you where to get that in a bit. There are 7 solutions to sugar cravings on that sheet of paper. So you can just listen right now and take these in and just know that they're all written down for you. So number 1 is to check your beverages. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes sweet cravings are a sign of dehydration. So pound a glass of water, wait 5 minutes, and then see if you still have that craving. And then also, too much caffeine can mimic a blood sugar crash. So you're like high for a bit, but then you come just like crashing down and you crave the sugar, of course. And then number 2, satisfy your sweet tooth with sweet veggies, fruits, and spices. Your tongue has sweet taste buds that demand to be satisfied, so don't hold out on them. Just like try adding like naturally sweet foods and spices to your diet, like squash, yams, carrots, beets, berries, figs, apples, cinnamon. Let's think here, coriander, nutmeg, cloves, cardamom. Just try those. And then number 3 is sleep. So for many of us, this is easier said than done, especially if you have like a little one at home, or a brand new baby. But if you're constantly tired, your body is going to be looking for energy, usually in the form of sugar or caffeine. So if you can, try powering down an hour earlier than usual and notice how your cravings will really start to disappear. And then number 4 is check your protein. So this is a fun, cool fact. So watch how much protein and what kind of protein you're eating, especially animal protein. Eating too little protein can lead to massive sweet cravings. And then eating too much protein can lead to, so too little protein can lead to sweet cravings, and too much protein can lead to sweet cravings. And when I work with clients, we find just the right sweet spot for protein intake so they feel satisfied. And then you want to really sniff out low-fat and fat-free foods. So when manufacturers take the fat out of foods, what do they put in it? Yes, sugar. Number 6 is move yourself. So movement is another kind of food for your body. It releases stress and it just makes you feel great and look great. And when you don't get enough, the body starts to look for other ways to blow off steam, like binging on Snickers bars. Number 7, you want to create new post-meal rituals. So if you're one of those people that, like you have to have that dessert after your meal, one thing you might love about that is just the ritual of it. So look into like other possibilities for post-meal rituals. Look into maybe, depending on the weather and where you live and the season, instead of the dessert, get up and take a little walk, outside, or just look into different rituals maybe that you can incorporate into your meals. And then I know some of you are going to want to take this further and deeper. As promised, I'd like to share with you how you can do that. So who here feels 100% confident that they could walk away from this talk and just kick sugar once and for all? That's because we've actually left out 3 key ingredients that puts all this together. So without these 3 ingredients, we stay in the same patterns and repeat the same old behaviors that keep us stuck. So some of us do really well for a little while. We get some new information, we renew our commitment to follow through, we take consistent action for a week or 2, we convince ourselves that this time it's going to be different, and then what happens? Our motivation just fizzles out and we fall off track. How many people know what to do, but don't always do it? Yeah, most of us. It's because knowing isn't enough. It's not what motivates us to action. We're suffering from a high fact diet. We've got a lot of theory, but we're not putting it into practice. So the 3 key ingredients that bring this all together are the right system, the right support, and the right accountability. we've got information. You don't need more information. What we do need to make this time different is someone to encourage our progress and someone to just kick us in the rear when we make, poor food choices. And since none of you are enthusiastically ready to get off the sugar roller coaster on your own, I'd like to invite you to a free initial total transformation breakthrough session. So this is a 30-minute private consultation where we'll look at what your cravings mean, why you're stuck and how to get unstuck, and what your plan of action is to experience a total transformation. So invest 30 minutes of your time, and I guarantee you will walk away with at least one major aha about how to break out of the rut and get into action. I want to invite you to open up to the possibility that this time really can be different, that you haven't tried everything, that even those of you who are relatively healthy already might be missing something, that could make it all better. It's an opportunity to get curious about how healthy you can be. I had a client who came to me with severe acne, weight gain, and really poor self-esteem after her boyfriend confessed he was no longer attracted to her. She had spent thousands of dollars on expensive lotions and spa treatments with no results. Doctors told her she'd have to live with it, and take medication so it didn't get worse. So knowing there had to be a better way, she found me. We worked on removing all this toxic buildup from the inside out. We identified not only the foods, but also the lifestyle factors, the stress, the habits, and social situations which triggered inflammation. Then we came up with results-oriented solutions so she didn't feel deprived. And within 4 weeks, she had lost 10 pounds. Her skin had completely cleared up, no more breakouts, no more blotchiness. Her confidence was like soaring, and then over the next 3 months, her entire life completely transformed, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Most of all, she was amazed at how fun and easy it was to implement the necessary changes to help keep her skin clear. Now, what makes this program unique is that we focus on what you get to have rather than what you don't. Suffering to heal, it just doesn't make sense. When I work with a client, I want to inspire you to reclaim your health in a way that's sustainable, natural, and fun. My clients tell me I'm part cheerleader and part tough love coach. Support and accountability. 2 ingredients proven to make all the difference in the world between staying stuck and breaking out of a rut. And if you're ready for the accountability, the systems, and the support that's going to make this work like nothing else you've tried, then I invite you to a free total transformation discovery session. So again, this is a 30-minute private consultation with me where we'll look at what your cravings mean, why you're stuck and how to get unstuck, and what your plan of action is to experience a total transformation. And I guarantee you'll walk away with at least one major aha about how to break out of the rut and get into action. So here's what to do now. To schedule your private one-on-one total transformation session with me, I'm going to lead the process. You're going to find out what your cravings mean, why you're stuck and how to get unstuck, and what your plan of action is to experience a total transformation. Now, I typically charge $97 for these sessions, but because you're here, it's my gift to you tonight. All you have to do is just show up for yourself. And I promise, even if you're the type of person who feels like, oh my gosh, I can't go without chocolate or my precious sweet treat after a meal, I promise you're going to learn something really surprising about those habits. So go ahead and click on that button below this video. It'll take you to a calendar so you can pick a time that works best for both of our schedules. Invest 30 minutes of your time, and I guarantee you will walk away with at least one aha about why you're stuck and how to get unstuck. And if you have any further questions at all or would like to contact me, this is my contact information. I would love to hear from you. And please consider joining my Facebook group where I have a ton of content and free resources for you to start living your best, healthiest life. And as a thank you for attending tonight, I want to give you this handout listing the 7 steps to kick the sugar habit. So look for this handout in your email inbox within the next 12 hours or so. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night.